From President Roosevelt's $1.5 million wartime Potomac to Trump's flashy $29 million Kingdom 5KR, and then to the most democratic Sequoia, which carried the secrets of 8 US presidents. In this video, we're diving into the most expensive presidential yachts ever owned by world leaders, Scheherazade. In the exclusive Marina di Carrara, under the watchful eyes of Italian authorities, sits a vessel that has become the most wanted yacht in the world. Scheherazade, a 459-foot floating palace built by Germany's legendary Lürssen shipyard, represents the pinnacle of maritime luxury and the center of a geopolitical storm that threatens to expose the hidden wealth of one of the world's most powerful men. The numbers alone are staggering. This aquatic masterpiece cost $700 million to construct, equivalent to 72.8 billion rubles, or roughly 5,000 times Russian President Vladimir Putin's declared annual salary. To put this in perspective, you could buy 15 Boeing 747s for the same price, or feed a small nation for a year. The vessel was constructed under project name Lightning at Lürsen's Bremen facility, with exterior design by Espen Oino and interiors by François Zuretti. But Scheherazade isn't just expensive, it's a fortress disguised as a pleasure craft. The yacht features bulletproof glass, anti-drone defense systems, and accommodations for 40 guests served by a crew of 94. The crown jewel, an indoor swimming pool that transforms into a ballroom at the touch of a button. A mechanical marvel that epitomizes the vessel's blend of luxury and technological innovation. But here's where the story gets explosive. While officially registered to sanctioned Russian billionaire Eduard Kudinatov through a Marshall Islands shell company called Bilo Asset Limited, investigators have uncovered evidence that tells a different story. Alexei Navalny's Anti-Corruption Foundation discovered that most of the crew are members of Russia's Federal Protective Service, the elite unit tasked with protecting Vladimir Putin, seized by Italian authorities in May 2022 as sanctions tightened around Russian assets. Scheherazade now costs over $600,000 monthly just to maintain while impounded. Yet somehow, mysteriously, these astronomical bills continue to be paid. As we speak, satellite imagery shows the yacht has been moved to dry dock for modifications, a $700 million chess piece in a game of international cat and mouse. Scheherazade may be secretive, but up next we have the record holder of the world's longest yacht, Azam. Delivered by Lürssen in 2013, this 590-foot Leviathan claimed the title of world's longest private motor yacht, a record it still holds today. But length is just the beginning of Azam's extraordinary story that redefined what was possible in superyacht construction and engineering excellence. Built for an estimated $600 million, this engineering marvel was commissioned by the late Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the UAE. The brief was audacious: create the largest yacht in the world that could also achieve unprecedented speed. The result defied every convention of superyacht design, combining massive scale with performance capabilities that seemed impossible for a vessel of this magnitude. Powered by a Kodak propulsion system, 2 gas turbines combined with 2 diesel engines driving 4 water jets, Azam generates nearly 94,000 horsepower. The interior centerpiece defies belief: a pillar-free main saloon measuring 95 feet by 59 feet, larger than most people's entire homes. This cathedral-like space can host state dinners, diplomatic receptions, or intimate family gatherings with equal grandeur. The yacht accommodates approximately 36 guests with a crew of 80 personnel. Since Sheikh Khalifa's death in 2022, Azam has been widely associated with his successor, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, though no official transfer has been confirmed. What we do know is that annual operating costs approach $60 million. As of 2025, Azam continues to reign supreme, its length record unchallenged by any yacht currently under construction. In a world where size often equals power, Azam remains the ultimate maritime statement of technological achievement and unlimited resources. For a while, Azam was unmatched, but the next luxury yacht broke all the rules with stealth tech straight out of a spy movie, Kosatka. In February 2022, as the world watched Russian troops mass on Ukraine's border, a different kind of escape was unfolding in the German port of Hamburg. Under cover of darkness, the 269-foot yacht, then known as Graceful, slipped its moorings and began a perilous journey that would take it through the treacherous northern sea route to safety in Russian waters. This daring escape would become one of the most dramatic yacht stories in modern maritime history. Today, this vessel sails under a new identity, Kosatka, Russian for killer whale. The name change represents more than rebranding. It's a symbol of survival against impossible odds, a testament to the lengths powerful individuals will go to protect their most prized possessions nations from international scrutiny and sanctions. Built in 2014 through an extraordinary collaboration between Russia's Sevmash shipyard and Germany's Blohm plus Voss, Kosatka combines military-grade engineering with Western luxury finishing. The initial construction cost of $100 million was dwarfed by a dramatic $32 million refit in 2022, timing that now seems prophetic given the subsequent international crisis and sanctions regime. The yacht's interior reads like a billionaire's fever dream brought to floating reality. The centerpiece is a 49-foot indoor swimming pool that transforms into a dance floor with the push of a button. Surrounding this aquatic marvel are amenities that include a helicopter landing pad, beauty salon, fully equipped gym, guest elevator connecting all decks, and a rumored wine cave carved into the vessel's lower levels. But it's the crew roster that tells the real story of this vessel's true purpose. Investigative reports reveal that most staff members are Federal Protective Service officers, the same elite unit responsible for protecting Vladimir Putin. The US Treasury was so convinced of the connection that they sanctioned the vessel in 2022, declaring it blocked property in which President Vladimir Putin has an interest. Accommodating 12 guests across 6 cabins with a crew of up to 25, Kosatka represents the perfect fusion of luxury and paranoia, a floating sanctuary for those who can afford to disappear completely. Up next, we have a yacht that was designed to dazzle as Turkey's national treasure, Savarona. Savarona, built in 1931 by Hamburg's prestigious Blohm plus Voss shipyard, has witnessed nearly a century of Turkish history while serving as the floating embodiment of national pride. This remarkable vessel represents the rare superyacht that transcends personal luxury to become a living monument to an entire nation's heritage and maritime traditions. Originally commissioned by American heiress Emily Roebling Cadwallader for $4 million, equivalent to $82.7 million today, Savarona was immediately recognized as something extraordinary. Jane's Fighting Ships declared it probably the most sumptuously fitted yacht afloat, a description that remains accurate nearly a century later. The yacht's transformation from American luxury to Turkish symbol began in 1938. Purchased by the Turkish government as a gift for Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the founder of modern Turkey, Savarona hosted cabinet meetings and foreign dignitaries during the leader's final weeks. Though Atatürk enjoyed only 6 weeks aboard before his death, those brief moments established Savarona's role as a vessel of state and national significance. The interior remains a testament to 1930s luxury and Turkish cultural heritage. 17 suites averaging 538 square feet each surround amenities that include Turkish hammams, heated marble floors, a movie theater, elevator, beauty salon, and a traditional Turkish coffee house. The grand brass staircase, original wood paneling, and antique furnishings create a floating museum of maritime elegance. After decades of service, fire, and abandonment, Savarona experienced a remarkable resurrection. Businessman Karaman Sadikoglu invested $50 million in the 1990s, restoring the yacht to its original glory. Following a comprehensive 2024 restoration under President Erdogan's oversight, Savarona returned to active service, achieving 17.2 knots in sea trials. Today, this 446-foot monument to Turkish heritage continues serving its nation, proof that some yachts transcend mere luxury to become floating pieces of history. Savarona may look timeless, but El Marusa here has been sailing for over 150 years. El Marusa. El Marusa, launched in 1865, holds the extraordinary distinction of being the world's oldest active presidential yacht, a 478-foot testament to Egyptian pride that has survived empires, revolutions, and the passage of time itself with remarkable grace and dignity. To comprehend El Marusa's longevity, consider this astounding timeline. When this yacht first touched water, Abraham Lincoln was president, the American Civil War was ending, and the Suez Canal was still under construction. Yet this remarkable vessel has not merely survived, it has thrived, continuing to serve Egyptian leadership through colonial occupation, revolution, and modernization. The yacht's construction cost, adjusted for inflation and multiple major refits throughout its operational lifetime, approaches $5 million, a bargain considering its historical significance and continued operation. Operating with a crew of 160 personnel, El Marusa serves dual roles as luxury yacht and diplomatic platform, hosting state events and ceremonial occasions that reinforce Egypt's maritime heritage. The interior reflects the grandeur of pharaonic heritage merged with Victorian luxury, opulent Egyptian-themed interiors that tell the story of a nation's royal past. Every cabin, every corridor speaks to an era when Egypt's rulers commanded respect across the Mediterranean and beyond, when the nation stood as a bridge between ancient civilization and modern ambition. Most remarkably, this ancient vessel became the first ship to cross the new Suez Canal in 2015, symbolically leading Egypt into a new era 150 years after its birth. Operated by by the Egyptian Navy for state events and ceremonial occasions, El Mahrousa represents more than transportation. It's a floating symbol of national continuity. Up next, we have the USS Williamsburg, a ghost of America's presidential fleet. USS Williamsburg. Some stories in luxury maritime history end not with celebration, but with tragedy that haunts preservation advocates to this day. USS Williamsburg, a 243-foot yacht that served Presidents Truman and Eisenhower during the crucial post-World War II era, met a fate that still devastates maritime historians. This vessel's demise represents one of the most significant losses in American presidential maritime heritage. Built in 1930 for $2 million, approximately $40 million in today's currency, Williamsburg became the floating White House where America's Cold War strategy took shape. Presidents used this vessel for crucial diplomatic meetings, family retreats, and the kind of informal diplomacy that can only happen away from Washington's political fishbowl, where personal relationships could flourish beyond the constraints of formal protocol. The yacht witnessed some of the most pivotal moments in 20th century American history. Here, President Truman contemplated post-war reconstruction, made crucial decisions about the Marshall Plan, and navigated the early challenges of the Cold War. President Eisenhower continued this tradition, using Williamsburg for strategic planning sessions and diplomatic encounters that shaped America's emergence as a global superpower. When restoration hopes emerged in 2014, experts estimated a $55.5 million refit cost, a price tag that reflected both the vessel's deteriorated condition and its immense historical value. Maritime historians dreamed of returning this floating piece of American history to its former glory, creating a museum that would honor the presidents who shaped the modern world. But dreams don't always survive reality's harsh judgment. Williamsburg sank in 2015, and by 2016 the decision was made to scrap the remains. The yacht that once hosted world leaders, witnessed pivotal moments in American foreign policy, and served as a sanctuary for presidents during their most challenging decisions, was reduced to scrap metal and fading memories. BRP Ang Pangulo. In the scattered archipelago of the Philippines, where diplomatic reach requires maritime capability across thousands of islands, BRP Ang Pangulo represents presidential pragmatism perfected through decades of dedicated service. This 253-foot vessel, built in 1959 for $3 million and gifted by Japan as a symbol of post-war reconciliation, has served multiple Philippine presidents while adapting to the nation's evolving needs. Unlike the extravagant yachts of oil sheikhs and oligarchs that prioritize pure luxury over functionality, Ang Pangulo embodies the Filipino approach to presidential maritime assets, practical elegance that serves real governmental needs. Accommodating 44 guests and 81 crew members, the yacht prioritizes operational capability over pure indulgence, reflecting the Philippines' pragmatic approach to presidential transportation across its complex maritime geography. The vessel's history reveals presidential yacht versatility at its finest, demonstrating how these floating assets can adapt to changing national circumstances. When one predecessor attempted to sell Ang Pangulo in 1986 for $5.5 million, the Filipino people's attachment to their floating symbol of sovereignty prevented the sale. The yacht remained in government hands, proving its irreplaceable value for state functions across the island nation's diverse political and geographical challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic revealed Ang Pangulo's true character and adaptability in crisis situations. President Duterte converted the yacht to hospital ship duties in 2020. This innovative repurposing showcased the vessel's versatility beyond traditional ceremonial and diplomatic roles, proving its value as a multi-purpose government asset. As of 2025, BRP Ang Pangulo continues active service under Philippine Navy management, ready for presidential duties while remaining available for emergency national service when circumstances demand. Honey Fitz. In the golden age of American political dynasties, no vessel captured the nation's imagination quite like Honey Fitz. This 93-foot wooden yacht, built in 1931 and named by President Kennedy after his grandfather John Honey Fitz Fitzgerald, served 6 presidents while embodying the intimate side of American political power. The vessel represents a more personal, accessible face of presidential luxury that contrasts sharply with today's fortress-like super yachts. Sold for $5.9 million in 1998, approximately $10 million in today's currency, Honey Fitz avoided the tragic fate of other presidential vessels through private ownership dedicated to preservation. The yacht's presidential pedigree reads like a who's who of 20th century American leadership. Truman used it for Missouri-style relaxation, Eisenhower for strategic planning, Kennedy for family gatherings, Johnson for political negotiations, and Nixon for rare moments of solitude away from Watergate pressures. The yacht's modest scale, featuring a main salon, sun deck, and capacity for 35 guests, created an intimacy diplomacy impossible on larger vessels. Here, presidents could shed the weight of office, family members could relax away from public scrutiny, and informal diplomacy could flourish in settings that felt more like a wealthy friend's yacht than the floating White House. This human scale made genuine relationships possible in ways that formal state venues could never achieve. Today, Honey Fitz offers a unique bridge between presidential history and contemporary experience. Charter rates starting at $20,000 for 3 hours allow guests to walk the same decks where presidents made crucial decisions, held family celebrations, and enjoyed rare moments of normalcy away from Washington's constant pressures and public scrutiny. Available for charter throughout 2025, Honey Fitz serves as a living museum where American political history comes alive. Honey Fitz showed the softer side of power, but the next yacht was a floating White House during humanity's darkest trial, USS Potomac. In the pantheon of presidential yachts, very few vessels carry the historical weight of USS Potomac. This 165-foot former Coast Guard cutter, purchased in 1935 for $75,000, approximately $1.5 million today, became Franklin Delano Roosevelt's floating White House during World War II's most crucial moments. The vessel witnessed decisions that shaped not just American history, but the fate of democracy itself during its darkest trial. USS Potomac's significance extends far beyond luxury accommodations or presidential comfort. Modified with an elevator to accommodate FDR's wheelchair, the yacht represented one of the earliest examples of accessibility adaptation in luxury vessels. These modifications allowed Roosevelt to maintain dignity and privacy while managing his mobility challenges away from public observation, enabling him to project strength during America's most vulnerable period. The vessel hosted secret WUTU meetings, where Roosevelt conducted crucial wartime diplomacy, planned military strategy, and coordinated with Allied leaders. During America's darkest hours, USS Potomac served as a secure mobile command center when land-based facilities might be compromised or under threat. The decisions made aboard this yacht, from D-Day planning to United Nations founding discussions, helped shape the outcome of the war and the post-war world order. The yacht's wartime service created countless moments of historical significance. Here, Roosevelt met with Winston Churchill, planned the invasion of Europe, contemplated the atomic bomb's implications, and designed the framework for post-war international cooperation. Every cabin tells stories of democracy's survival and America's transformation into a global superpower. Modern preservation efforts have transformed USS Potomac into an active educational platform that serves the public while honoring its historical legacy. Open for dockside tours with charter cruises starting at $7,000 for 3 hours, the yacht makes presidential maritime history accessible while generating revenue for ongoing preservation. Visitors can stand in the same spaces where Roosevelt contemplated world-changing decisions. While Potomac helped shape world history, Kingdom 5 KR tells a very different story. Kingdom 5 KR. In the annals of superyacht history, few vessels have experienced as dramatic transformations as Kingdom 5 KR. Originally built as Nabila for arms dealer Adnan Khashoggi, later owned by Donald Trump as Trump Princess, and currently serving Saudi royalty, this 282-foot yacht embodies the global nature of ultra-luxury maritime assets and the complex web of international wealth that defines the superyacht world. The yacht's original construction represented 1980s excess at its absolute pinnacle, when conspicuous consumption reached unprecedented heights. Built for Khashoggi and named after his daughter, Nabila, featured unprecedented amenities that established new standards for superyacht luxury and influenced an entire generation of yacht design. The vessel's revolutionary features, from its massive master suite to its entertainment complexes, introduced concepts that became industry benchmarks. Trump's ownership period in the late 1980s showcased the yacht at numerous high-profile events, cementing its reputation as a symbol of American business success during the prosperous economic expansion. Trump Princess became synonymous with the decade's culture of unlimited ambition, appearing at Atlantic City casinos, New York society events, and business negotiations that defined the era's entrepreneurial spirit. The yacht served as a floating extension of Trump's business empire, hosting potential investors, entertaining high-profile guests, and projecting an image of success that supported broader business objectives. During this period, Trump Princess represented more than luxury transportation. It was a carefully crafted business tool designed to impress, intimidate, and inspire confidence in Trump's expanding commercial ventures. Following Trump's financial difficulties in the early 1990s, the yacht changed hands multiple times before current ownership by Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, who renamed it Kingdom 5 KR. Under Saudi ownership, the vessel has undergone extensive modifications and refits, adapting to Middle Eastern luxury preferences while maintaining its status as a premier supreme yacht that reflects Saudi royal sophistication and cultural values. The yacht's estimated current value of approximately approximately $29 million, reflects both its historical significance and ongoing operational costs. Multiple refits and ownership changes have modified original specifications, but core luxury amenities remain impressive by contemporary standards. As of 2025, Kingdom 5KR continues active service, representing the evolution of super yacht ownership from arms dealers through American business moguls to Middle Eastern royalty. USS Sequoia. USS Sequoia, among America's presidential vessels, witnessed more pivotal moments than any other. 104-foot yacht served 8 presidents, from Herbert Hoover through Jimmy Carter, hosting negotiations that shaped both domestic and foreign policy across 5 transformative decades. Built in 1925, USS Sequoia became the floating sanctuary where presidents found refuge during the nation's most challenging periods. The yacht witnessed family celebrations during the Great Depression, strategic planning during World War II, tense negotiations during the Cold War, and soul-searching conversations during the Civil Rights era. Each presidency left its mark on the vessel's history, creating a floating repository of American leadership memories. Perhaps most memorably, Richard Nixon conducted significant Watergate-related meetings aboard Sequoia, making the vessel a floating witness to constitutional crisis and presidential decision-making under extreme pressure. The irony that America's most democratic presidential yacht hosted discussions about democracy's survival adds layers of historical complexity to every deck and cabin, reminding us that even symbols of democratic privilege can become stages for constitutional drama. Following presidential service, Sequoia entered decades of private ownership where preservation challenges mounted steadily, threatening this irreplaceable piece of American heritage. The yacht's historical significance attracted dedicated restoration advocates who recognized its irreplaceable value to American maritime legacy and presidential history. Current restoration efforts in Maryland focus on returning the vessel to its presidential era configuration. The restoration represents more than vessel maintenance. It's cultural preservation of American presidential traditions and democratic heritage. Original presidential furnishings, meeting spaces, and personal accommodations require specialized conservation techniques to maintain historical accuracy while ensuring structural integrity for continued operation and public accessibility. As of 2025, USS Sequoia's restoration continues under dedicated stewardship, with plans for eventual public accessibility that will allow future generations to experience the maritime dimension of American presidential leadership. Up next, we have Mayflower, a steam-powered palace where Theodore Roosevelt set the stage for America's global rise. USS Mayflower. At the dawn of America's emergence as a global power, USS Mayflower established the template for presidential maritime luxury that all subsequent vessels would follow. This 275-foot steam yacht, built in 1896 for approximately $250,000, roughly $3 million today, served presidents from Theodore Roosevelt through Calvin Coolidge during America's progressive era. The vessel, USS Mayflower's significance extends far beyond American shores, representing the maritime dimension of America's transformation from regional power to global influence. This steam-powered palace hosted diplomatic events that helped establish America's international presence during the nation's transition from continental power to world leader. Foreign dignitaries experienced American hospitality aboard Mayflower, contributing to relationship building that supported broader foreign policy objectives during this crucial period in world history. The yacht's steam propulsion represented cutting-edge technology for its era, providing reliable long-range capability essential for presidential travel when air transportation remained impractical and dangerous. Mayflower served multiple roles as private yacht, merchant ship, and presidential vessel, demonstrating the adaptability that characterized early 20th century maritime assets and the practical approach to government property during America's more frugal presidential periods. Under Theodore Roosevelt's presidency, Mayflower became the floating embodiment of American confidence and technological prowess. The vessel hosted dinner parties where Roosevelt's progressive policies were discussed, diplomatic receptions that advanced American interests, and family gatherings that humanized the presidency during an era of rapid social change. Herbert Hoover decommissioned the yacht in 1929, ending an era of steam-powered presidential maritime luxury, as economic pressures and changing transportation preferences shifted presidential travel toward land and eventually air alternatives. The vessel served various civilian purposes before meeting its ultimate fate in 1955 when it was scrapped. USS Mayflower's legacy exists today only in museum collections and historical documentation, representing a significant loss to American maritime heritage. Up next, we have an alleged Putin yacht so secretive its very existence feels like myth. Olympia. Olympia sits in the darkest corners of presidential maritime luxury, where fact blurs into speculation. It may be the most enigmatic of all, an evolution of the presidential yacht that exists without transparency, accountability, or even public acknowledgement. This vessel embodies the modern autocrat's approach to luxury, absolute secrecy combined with unlimited resources. Unlike every other yacht we've explored, Olympia's very existence remains deliberately obscured through layers of offshore complexity that would challenge even the most sophisticated intelligence agencies. Connected to Vladimir Putin through investigative reports and sanctions documentation, this vessel exemplifies how modern presidential assets operate in legal and political grey areas, serving powerful individuals while avoiding the transparency expected of government property in democratic societies. The yacht specifications remain classified through official channels, with details emerging only through investigative journalism, intelligence leaks, and satellite imagery analysis. Reports suggest advanced communication systems, security features, and crew arrangements similar to other Putin-linked vessels, including personnel connections to Russia's Federal Protective Service that provide presidential-level protection and operational capabilities that rival state naval assets. Olympia's financial profile remains hidden within the same offshore networks that obscure ownership and registration of other controversial assets linked to Russian leadership. Construction costs, operational expenses, and maintenance budgets exist in shadows that even international sanctions struggle to penetrate, demonstrating the sophisticated financial engineering that supports modern autocratic luxury while maintaining plausible deniability. Sanctions regimes targeting Russian assets following Ukraine's invasion have affected various Putin-linked maritime properties, though Olympia's current status and location remain uncertain. As of 2025, Olympia remains a phantom presence in international waters, a vessel whose very mystery enhances its significance as a symbol of concentrated power, unlimited resources, and the lengths to which modern leaders will go to maintain absolute privacy in an increasingly transparent world. Thanks for watching. Please check out other cards on the screen.